This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to the Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, I am here in the fine studios of Pod Populi, podcast for the people. I am in the one in Boca Raton, Florida. It's about 1,000,000 degrees here. I press on. Before I get into what I want to get into, I got to do another quick casting notice because you guys responded really well to this. So the producers said, please do it one more time because we're getting a lot of good people from you guys. Are you dating someone online that you're ready to meet for the first time? If so, listen up. This TV casting call may be the one for you. They are now casting virtual couples who've yet to meet in person. The Emmy Award-winning Bunim Murray Productions, you guys know them as the creators of MTV's The Real World. We've had a bunch of Real World alum on this many, many times. Bunim Murray and a major cable network are now casting a new relationship experiment TV show. So, are you in love with someone you've never met in person? From the pandemic to long distance to just plain nerves, whatever the reason, you're in this kind of relationship. Will make your first meeting with this person the most memorable experience of your lives in this relationship experiment television spectacular. You will meet the individual you are falling for in person for the first time ever. Don't worry about trying to decide where, what, how to meet your online love. The producers have that covered. An adventure of a lifetime is just one click away. To apply, go to BMP Casting, BMP like Bunim Murray Productions, bmpcasting.com/nevermet, bmpcasting.com/nevermet. It is open to everyone over 21. So I like to find the exception to the rule and then to figure out how uncommon that exception is. You guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I had somebody on this podcast who was 45 and was a virgin or claimed to be a virgin. We don't run tests around here. We had to take her for her word. She was a virgin on here. And I thought that was highly, highly unusual. She seemed reasonable. She seemed attractive. Sometimes life happens. But I want to push harder. I want to go deeper. I found something that I think is even more unusual. And she got dragged in here today. She's the host of the very successful Single Mom Success podcast. So if you're interested in single mom success, dive into that podcast. But I have her here for a different reason. I'll get into that for a second. In a second, Becky Skeba-Mancini. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I brought up a couple years ago on this podcast, we did one about how often somebody should date. And we said that dating is like a muscle that you have to exercise. And that if you get out of the habit of dating or you go too long in between dates, suddenly 5, 6, 10 years can go by. And it's always good to take a break from dating. It's always good to take a pause. You should never be dating if you're still not over your ex. You should never be dating if you're dating not from a healthy position. But at some point, you have to start dating again. The reason I have Ms. Skeba-Mancini on here, she's very lovely. So we'll post a picture of her so you can see what I'm talking about.
You're so
She
sweet.
claims are you over 40?
I am 40.
She's 40 on the nose. She claims to have never had a date. Now, she's divorced and a mom, so we'll get into how much that it does or does not count. She claims to have never had a date. Explain that.
Okay, so, well, let's dive right in.
That's the intro.
So I have been with my ex-husband for over 22 years. We met when I was going into 6th grade. So
Sounds like longer than 22 years.
Right. We were together a lot longer than 22 years. But, we didn't date. We would go with friends, and then when he would be like, will you be my girlfriend? I would say yes, but I've never been on no one's ever taken me to lunch, breakfast, dinner, coffee, nothing.
So you were with him. You didn't date anybody else in high school.
I was a boyfriend and girlfriend with 2 other people, but we never went on dates. Back then
you just
different.
hang out and then you carve your name into a tree.
Right.
So you've never said, hey, you want to go out to dinner? That's never happened.
Never in my life, ever. No.
Do you want to get a drink? Has that happened?
No.
So it never happened with your husband. So that's a big chunk of time.
Correct.
Did you get proposed to?
No. He literally turned over said never. He has never. No one's ever gotten down on one knee and said, "Will you marry me?"
Now
Ever.
you are familiar. We hear that a lot. A surprising amount of marriages that they're like, "So should we get married?" Or, "Hey, you want to just get married?" Like it isn't always the most romantic scenario in the world. Not everybody is planning it out, as you should, fellas. But did that feel strange? You're like, other people are sharing stories. People must have been like, "Oh my God," you know.
I was young. So I got pregnant at 19. I had my son at 20. And it wasn't like, I pretty much gave him an ultimatum. Either you're going to marry me or somebody else is going to marry me. And this is the way that it's going to be. I'm going to find somebody else that wants the same things in life with me.
Right.
He literally turned over in bed to me one day and was like, all right, let's just go for ring shopping. Let's just get married.
So
That was it. That was my proposal.
do you have a wedding?
I had a wedding.
Okay, a wedding could count as a date. But just as traditional, so up until that point, you had a child, you got married.
Yep.
So let's shelve all that.
Okay.
You come out of this marriage. Mm-hmm. When does the marriage sort of end? Not legally, but when is it sort of
2 years ago it ended.
2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now you have this whole time in your head during this, not the happiest of marriages, I'm going to assume. Have you been fantasizing about, I'm going to be single and I'm going to do all this dating stuff that I hear about? There's a show called The Great Love Debate and they talk about dating all the time. So you're not like excited to go out there, or you're like, I just need to get out of the situation I'm in and
I'm not excited to get out there. I'm very nervous. I'm still nervous. I was just telling my girlfriend on the way over here. My girlfriends have to keep reminding me, you're going to go on a date with somebody. You don't necessarily have to be in a relationship. Me, I'm thinking like big picture. Oh no, I need to like jump into a relationship because that's all I've ever known.
Right. So you equate date as a much more serious commitment than we're going to get some sushi.
Right. Yeah.
But you've been kicking around this sandbox for a couple of years now without a wedding ring on.
Yes.
You must get asked out.
No.
You never get asked out? Nobody, even in a business meeting, they're like, hey, you seeing anybody? You want to get some ice cream?
No. No. Honestly, they don't. You know, I had one person introduce me to some guy and I was like so caught off guard and I was like, I'm not ready yet. You know, because he never once said, oh, do you want to go out with me or anything? It wasn't anything like that. He was just
Did anybody say that to you while you were married?
No.
Nobody hit on you while you were married?
No. Mm-mm.
Has there ever been a business situation?
I mean, people have hit on me, yes, obviously.
I guess there's a leap between hit on to you want to go to Hawaii for the weekend.
No. Yeah, I've been hit on because it's just my profession. You know, I'm in real estate. You know, I'm going to get those.
That's a hitting on profession?
I get those creepy, disgusting some of those realtor men that are just nasty.
Who's more realtor, the guy selling the house or the guys who have the house or the guys who are trying to sell the house?
The guys trying to sell the house.
They want realtors.
Yeah.
See, in Southern California, a lot of rich guys put their houses on the market just because they want to meet the hot realtor and they really have no intention of selling it, but that's like their excuse.
Okay.
That's a thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And they have the realtors come in and I believe it.
And they have open houses so chicks will come in.
You know what? I take that back. Now that I think about it, a client did ask me to go on a date with him.
Well, there you go.
He did. He was like 72.
It still counts. He's not dead.
I guess so.
So he said what?
I want to take you out for a coffee. He did.
I don't know if
I literally
as
turned
we've
him
said
down.
on here, I don't consider coffee a date. I consider coffee at best a social interaction. At
And
worst,
he
it's a
was married.
business meeting. Yeah, I don't consider that a date.
He was
All you
married,
people out there
too.
still doing coffee dates, it's not a date.
He was married. He just wanted to piss off his wife.
Okay, so that's not a date either.
Yeah.
So people must be trying to fix you up, right?
Yes and no. Yes.
Or
I
you have
had
a bunch
some
of single
guys-
friends who are like, if they're good, I'm going to keep them for myself.
I don't. I do have some single friends, but not a lot. Majority of my friends are in relationships. So I don't know this thing. I'm not on any dating websites or apps or anything like that.
Now you've thought about this though. Because a lot of people run into this. So let's just say you've been married for 20 years.
Yep.
And a lot of people who've been married for 20 years, they got out of the dating scene. You were never really in it, but you got out of the dating scene in the late 90s, early 2000s. And now as we record this is 2022. It's not just a different dating landscape. It's essentially a different planet from what you left from.
Right.
Dating apps are involved. Gender roles have changed.
Oh, that's true.
You can't even compliment you anymore. I mean, it's just a whole different. Me Too happened. Like 100 things have happened in the last 20 years that the people who are going out there now, they've only heard horror stories.
Right. And I have as well. And that's why I'm like, ugh, who wants to go on a date? Not me.
Yeah, I know. So people have, and that's a problem with the show. We have our fun with dating disasters, and we make everybody play worst date, first date, and we do all that kind of, and you'll play that in a little bit later. It does paint the negativity. People really get a kick out of sharing the negative. Because nobody wants to hear, oh my God, I met the best guy, whatever, and everybody's like,
best time ever.
Yeah, everybody's like, fuck off. There's a camaraderie in the misery that goes around.
Right.
That tends to permeate dating culture, which is not a good thing. So I'm going to walk you through what dating culture is really, really like. I got to take a quick break because we got to pay for things like dates around here, but we will be back right after this. And we are back. I'm here with the dateless Becky.
The dateless.
Skeba-Mancini.
So
but as we record this, it's like 1 o'clock. You'll probably get a date by the end of the day.
Probably not.
What is your interpretation of the dating world right now? As somebody who's just
very
really
limited.
What do you think it's like? Like, you hear some horror stories. What do you think is going on out there?
I feel like all the good men are already gone and taken up. Where are they?
They aren't. First of all, that I believe, and I've said this on the podcast, there are more good men in America right now than have ever existed in the history of this country. Wow. There are more men that are doing the work. There are more men that are introspective. There are more men that are going to therapy. There are more men that are curious. There are more men that are working through their feelings. That is what you guys claim to want.
Yes.
It's made a lot of guys turn into too big of pussies around here. But there's a pool of those guys out there that are at least trying harder, because it's harder for the men to date as well. It's harder for the men because the women have changed significantly more over the last 20 years.
Right.
So there's a lot of men who are listening to this podcast, doing therapy, taking courses, who are really trying to figure it out. All the good men who you say are taken, most of them around your age are coming back into the pool because you're all getting divorced in your 40s.
Where are
People
they?
used to ask me in my 30s, like, how come you don't get married? I'm like, because I don't want to be divorced in my 40s. And so I never got divorced because I never got married. Where are they? Well, are you looking?
No, my saying is this: if they don't fall and trip and fall into my lap, I'm probably not going to meet them.
If they did, would you even recognize that?
I don't know.
See, you might have been asked out and not even been aware of it.
It could have
You
been.
might have been on a date. I have many times in my life been on a date where they're like, oh, this was a date? Like, they didn't even know. They just thought we wanted to chit-chat, talk about meetings. I'm like, if it's me and you, we're out, and it's a date.
So funny.
And the definition of date, because there's such a hangout culture, like, let's meet up, hang out, chit-chat, and then somebody tries to make out with somebody in the street, and it's like, whoa, this was a date? It's different.
Interesting.
What do you know about dating apps?
Not enough.
Okay, that's probably good.
And they scare me.
What scares it about you?
I don't creepers. Ugh.
There's creepers in real life.
I know. But I don't necessarily meet them.
I don't believe, I could be wrong on this. I don't believe there's more creepers online. It makes it easier to be a creeper online.
Right.
I'll probably say that.
Right.
It's a little bit easier.
Fair. That's fair.
But the creepers online, they're not necessarily meeting up with you to go out with you. Like, the creepers and the catfishers, they kind of fall by the wayside once it's time to meet. You know, online dating has its place. Once you move it offline, it's kind of, you know, this is where we're at, and this is sort of the fork in the road. You're going to have to meet. Online dating, have you tried any apps?
Nothing.
Have you seen any
Zero.
apps?
Zilch.
Nothing.
Now
It's
that
been
we talk
2
about
years
it,
now.
trust me, my phone's going to pull it up for me.
Okay,
now
so
that we're
you haven't
talking
even
about
been, you're not just talking about this now. You're going to get, have you
it's
been
gonna
on
blow up.
Bumble?
Yep.
Have you heard of certain dating apps?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of a ton.
Okay, have you heard of Tinder?
Yes.
And what is your impression of Tinder?
That's where people just want to go and hook up, right?
Starbucks is where people want to go and hook up. Everywhere is where people want to go and hook up.
No, but that's like a known thing on Tinder, right?
That used to be a known thing, but I don't agree with that. Like, once you meet up, so if you're on Tinder and you're trying to meet somebody, you're always trying to hook up.
I guess so, yeah.
If you're going out to dinner, you're trying to hook up. Like, that's still the goal.
I guess so.
And once you hook up, you're hoping to like them. You know, people are like, oh, he's just looking for sex. I think he hopes to like you after, and then it could be happily. Nobody's
Don't you think,
just looking
see, I
for
think
that.
backwards. I think that you should like somebody before you have sex with them.
Ideally.
Right?
But
Wouldn't
sometimes
you
you
say
don't
that?
know if you like them until you have sex with them.
No.
Yeah.
I think the sex is better once you like somebody. I think the sex will be shit.
But you, as far as I know, have only had sex with somebody you didn't like.
I liked him at one point.
So
I liked him
I
at
don't
one
know if
point.
you make the strongest argument about
That's
that.
true. That's true.
The sex changes things because within 365 days from right now, you're going to like a guy.
I hope so.
You're going to have sex with him, and then the sex is going to suck, and you're like, I don't really like him that much. That's going to happen to you.
So?
That happens to women all the time.
Communication. You can tell somebody to do something different, can't you?
That's not my expertise here, but
Well, you're
you
a
can.
man. I'm a woman. I think a woman can express to a man, don't do this, do this.
You would think, but they rarely do. And a lot of women are like, especially at your age, I don't have time for this. If he doesn't know how to do this, I'm not training anybody. I don't need to teach him how to dance.
Okay, I guess I'm different because my ex-husband used to think I was a mind reader. So I'm the different type of person where I have to explain to somebody what I want if I don't want my expectations
That's a very valuable skill. A lot of women are like, I shouldn't have to train the guy. They're not dogs.
I disagree.
We want to be trained.
I disagree.
You should put that on your dating profile. Willing to train.
Willing to train.
Because we have no idea what you like.
Right.
All we know is what the last girl liked, and we found that out too late.
100%.
I agree. That's a good thing. So you've heard of Tinder. Tinder, it's no more or less a hookup site than Whole Foods.
Oh.
So have you heard of Bumble?
Yeah, but not like a lot.
Okay. Bumble and Tinder are fairly similar. The only difference is that Bumble, the woman has to say the first word. And generally the first word out of the woman is hey.
Oh.
And then it's up to the guy anyway.
Okay. I probably wouldn't do that one because I'm not going to be the one reaching out first.
Right. But the women like the control of not every guy is reaching out to her, which that might suit you a little bit better, is
Maybe.
that there's some control. It's like, I only want to talk to who I want to talk to. So some advantage of that. Have you heard of Hinge?
No.
Have you heard of Match.com existed?
Match.com, I know.
Okay. Match.com, sort of the OG of dating sites.
Right. It's been around forever.
Has this place where we're recording this in South Florida is riddled with like professional matchmakers. Have any of them said, "Oh, I've got the guys for you"?
No.
Oh, yeah, don't go for those guys.
No?
If
The
they had any
matchmaker people?
If they had any game, they wouldn't need a matchmaker. Seriously, be your own matchmaker. If you're wealthy, successful, blah, 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 you should be able to walk into anywhere and be your own matchmaker.
I guess so.
Don't trust the matchmaker guys. Sorry, matchmakers, and they get all mad when I say this. If a guy has to pay you to get dates, he's not worth dating. And they're like, no, he's too busy. If he's too busy, then you don't want to date him anyway.
Maybe I do.
So you're going to get, no, you do not. So you want to just fast forward to the relationship part.
Right. See, that's
So you have to decide, you have to cut that back. You have to change your goals back. Your only goal should be in the next 30 days, you need to just kind of, you know how it thunderstorms here just about every day?
Yeah.
You need to kiss a guy in the rain at 5 o'clock.
You've lost your mind.
5 o'clock, not 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock. Like you went out for a happy hour drink, you went outside, he had the umbrella, it was raining, and he just kissed you in the parking lot. That's
would
your
be
goal.
awesome.
Right, so you like that.
I do. I love the idea of it.
Okay, that's a lot easier to achieve because you could picture it in your head. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take, 50 dates to get there.
Right.
It's not sex. It's kind of sweet, romantic, innocent, and passionate at the same time. It's all those things.
Right.
That's going to happen for you. And remember, I said this. And that's a goal you should look at. You shouldn't look at dating as it's a means to a marriage. You should look at dating as a means to kiss a guy in the rain at 5 o'clock.
Okay. I have to set it on my calendar. Within 30
so a
days,
happy
it has
hour
to do
date.
It.
So if you go out with a guy like, let's have a drink at happy hour.
I'm going tonight to a happy hour. So
you're going to a happy hour. You never know. Guy with the umbrella, walk her to the car, make them guys out there. They like that.
Do you guys hear this? I'm going tonight.
They like that. What is your impression? So you haven't been hiding out for 30 years. You are around men. So you must have men change significantly. Or do you notice them differently now that you're single again? Are you like,
no, because I've always looked at guys. I'm like, oh, he's good looking, or the girl, she's good. I've always been able to tell that. I don't know. It just feels weird to me. I feel like I'm in like a different world.
do you have an age range?
Yeah. I cannot date anybody younger than 40.
Good for you.
I can't.
So you're not couging it up.
Ugh, my son's 20. That just is like disgusting. I know.
But is there any of that? Is there any of that like MILF energy going on with his son's friends that they give you another extra look?
No, but when I was out a couple of weeks ago, some kid walked up to me and he said, "Oh, I know who you are." He's like, "I know you do really good in real estate," and he was like totally hitting on me. I'm like, "Kid, you're a kid. You're 25 years old." My girlfriend's like, "Becky, that is awesome." I'm like, I want to vomit.
Good for you, because a lot of women are like, I just need to get my mojo back, so I'm going to have some plaything.
No,
don't do that.
40 years old is the youngest I could date.
You mentioned 72 is probably too old. Does it depend on the 72, or is it all 72?
I would say the highest I would date is probably 55. The youngest I would date is 40. That's my like age range.
What about like Liam Neeson? He's like 68. You wouldn't go out with him? What about George Clooney? He's 60.
Oh, I love George Clooney.
Well, there you go. He's like 61,
delicious.
right?
I guess, you know what? Honestly, the higher 70 is like grandpa.
Because you can have an old 52.
That is very
true. And there could be a young, Bruce Willis is like 70 before it all went bad for him, but he was out there.
That's very true.
So
the age on top does not matter, but.
Do they have to have kids because you have kids?
That was a definite for sure for mine, and now I'm opened up to that being a possibility for them not to have kids.
And why?
As long as they don't want any more kids, because
Okay. Was that the only reason? Because you're like, if they have kids, they won't be...
If they don't have any kids, a lot of guys are like, "Oh, I want to have a kid." That's done. Right. That ship has sailed.
Okay.
So as long as they don't want to have any more children, I'm game. But I'm not, because I'm done. I'm 40.
Okay. How old's your youngest?
10.
Okay, so you've got a ways to go before you're fully free. You can't just go to Paris for the weekend.
I could.
You have some custody shared? Sort of. Do you have a babysitter?
I do. I have my parents. Who
you have your parents.
Yep.
Okay. What you have to do as a mom is you have to paint a picture of your availability to be dated. So it doesn't matter if you have only if 27 days a month you are with your kids. You have to paint a picture that on the 3 days that you don't, you're fucking awesome and you're the most fun person ever. What they do, as long as they know going in that there's a window where you're able to be dated, a lot of guys are fine with that. But when they hear like single mom full custody, they're just like, she can never find time for me.
Right, and that's not
the
true.
And the neediness, eventually over time, somebody may need more of you than you can or are willing to give. But as long as they're like, she can be dated and she can flip off mom mode, because that's a challenge too, is to be out in 5 o'clock kiss in the rain mode when you're dealing with like, oh my God.
And you're in your 40 and you're not 20 anymore.
Right. It's back to, and you have to worry, do you drink?
Very socially. Very socially.
Socially.
Yeah.
Do you drink more now than you did when you were married?
No. I didn't really drink in my marriage. I probably should have.
Is there, so you brought up George Clooney. Is that if you had to pick like a celebrity you're looking at?
He's gorgeous. I love him. Oh, he's delicious.
He's the one, huh?
I don't know if he's the one. I could also go Channing Tatum. He's delicious too.
He's probably over 40.
He is over 40.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing below 40. I couldn't do it.
Okay, nothing over 40. So Channing Tatum, he's a little bit different than I heard you say I heard you talking the other day and you said so-and-so is not your type. How do you know what your type is?
I don't know.
You don't. So you kind of have to go out with anybody.
Right. And I'm open to it.
Oh,
because I go based upon personality. I don't really go based upon looks.
Right.
And, we were talking about one famous person. You're like, well, he's an asshole. I'm like, well, then I don't like him.
Right.
That just bursted my bubble.
That is going to make it so much easier. Do you have a height requirement?
I mean, I don't want them my height.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'5".
Yeah, that's not sorry, 5'5"ers out there. That's not unreasonable. Guys. But yeah, the less check boxes that you have going into this, the easier it's going to be to find somebody, because you're going to have an open mind to this. So you kind of also have to make a sort of bargain with yourself as you get out there, because you don't know what you like. You don't even know what a date really feels like. But no matter who asks you out, as long as you feel safe and as long as you're not repulsed, I think you got to go for it.
Okay, fine. I'll do it. No,
because
like
I need
social
to. Experiment.
No, I do. I need to do it. I need to just rip the Band-Aid off because I'm scared to death.
Right.
Because I've never done it.
Right. Again, it's got to be scary. And you didn't really date your husband, so
no.
But you're not so unusual in that there are so many men and women who have basically been for lack of a better term, mothballed for 20 years. And now they're coming back out and they're terrified because they've heard the horror stories and they don't know the landscape and they don't know what they should do.
Or they know that all they know is relationships.
Will you let a guy pick you up for a date? Can I pick you up at your house if I'm the guy?
For the first date, probably not.
Why?
Because my kids are there.
So you can ride. What if I
questions.
honk?
No, hell
Are
no.
they're going to know
Don't
mom's
honk.
going on a date, right?
No. Mom's going out with friends.
Oh, so you won't tell them?
Probably not.
Are
no.
they like, do they want mom and dad back together, or that ship sailed? Because you got to get through that too.
No, my younger one wanted it for a while, but it's done. It's done.
So do they say, Mom, when are you going to date?
No, they're like, you better never date.
Oh.
Yeah, no, they don't want me to date.
They don't want you to date.
I think they're nervous, like, I am. Like, what's to come? What is it?
Have you thought about what you would wear on a date?
No.
So there's
I would have to go buy a new outfit. Are you kidding me?
a date outfit.
A date outfit, yes.
What is your impression of what a date outfit is?
It depends on what time of day, where it's at.
We're talking about 5 o'clock, happy hour. Because a happy hour can roll in, hey, you want to get some dinner? Happy hour's a good start.
During the week, I'd be coming off of work, so I'm probably going to be wearing work clothes.
Is that work clothes?
This is work clothes.
That's fine. If you showed up a date with that, that's good. So there's weekend Becky, huh?
There is. And she is wild and crazy.
She's in her solitude with her girlfriends.
Yeah.
Now, have you been out to a club yet with your friends?
Oh, yeah.
What goes on out there? Are you dancing?
Oh, yeah. All the time with everybody.
So you're dancing. So if a guy asks you to dance,
for sure.
You'll do that.
100%.
Now you got to figure out a way to transition.
The majority of them are gay or married.
That's a good starter, though, for you. It gets you comfortable.
I guess so.
Have you been to a Home Depot recently?
Yes.
Go to a Home Depot and just start asking questions. Oh, my God. It's a men.
So who are the people that are shopping?
Anybody. Staff. Anybody in the orange overalls, the apron. God. Anybody there. It will get you in a vibe of talking to strange men. And
I talk to strange men all the time in work.
That's work mode.
Yeah.
Home Depot is as close to making a baby as you're going to find in terms of an environment. People are happy in Home Depot. People are creative in Home Depot. People are anticipating the new tile they're going to put in their bathroom. People are in a good mood in Home Depot because they're excited about a project. So there's a good vibe in Home Depot for you to just go up to men, and it will get you talking, laughing, sharing with dudes.
Okay, I'll do it.
And they also know their way around a buzzsaw. Those are handy dudes. That helps too. So I am not one of those people, but they are at Home Depot. All of the single men and women who have come out of a long relationship, the very first thing they need to do is get themselves comfortable around the opposite sex again. So the more environments, but you look at everything as work mode.
Or I tend to go with all the husbands, right?
Right.
That's where I'm comfortable.
You got to get yourself out of that little bubble. Now, do the other? What are there people that you were friends with who are married from your married days?
No, a lot of them.
Because if I'm a married woman, I'm not sure I want you hanging around my husband.
Oh, they know I'm safe.
Why do they know you're safe?
Because they know me.
They knew you married. They don't know you now.
They know me as a person. My marriage is not a definition of myself.
No, it's not. But as a person, you're open to anything now.
Anybody's open, married or not married.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a whole different
I actually had somebody tell me when I was married that he only seeks out married women because he's married, they're married, and they're not going to tell each other spouses.
Right. There's probably something to be said. There's a whole scene for that, too.
Oh, yeah. I know a couple.
Now, you're out on a date. When this date happens and the check comes, what do you do?
I would probably pay it first.
Oh, my God. Don't ever do that.
Why?
Don't even bring your wallet.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I would. Ugh.
No. What do you mean, ugh?
I feel like I'd want to throw up. I feel like if somebody's paying for something, they expect something in return.
Correct. And that's the mistake women make. And that's what he thinks. He doesn't expect something in return. You know what he expects in return? Thank you.
You think so?
He doesn't care about your $65. He cares about your appreciation. He wants to know, because the problem with dating anybody over 40 is he knows you can probably buy your own dinner.
Right.
So the specialness of, you take some 23-year-old out and you buy her a steak and you're a goddamn hero.
Right.
Take you out. When you offer to pay, it does tell him 3 things, none of them good. One of those you just said. It tells him, I don't want to owe you anything.
Right.
Or it tells him, I don't think this is a date, or it tells him we're not going to do this again. Those are all bad vibes.
Okay.
When don't even do the fake reach, because he knows it's fake. You just sit there.
Seriously?
He pays the bill, and you say,
Brian
"Thank
Howie
you."
told me not to pay for the date.
No, say thank you so much. I'm so appreciative. Nobody's ever done whatever you got to say to effusively express how grateful you are. Not I could have done this myself, which he knows that.
Okay.
If you want to buy him a drink or something after dinner, or something little thing, so it doesn't look like you're just. But if he asks you out, he knows a little bit about you. He knows you clearly have money. He knows you're not using him for the sushi.
Okay.
He is using you for the gratitude, to feel good about himself, especially if you're going out with a guy who's over 40. He also probably got divorced, and his wife also probably made him feel like he's a fucking loser. Okay? So he's trying to get his mojo back, taking you out, paying for you. That is one of the few opportunities left in the world where we can actually do that.
Okay.
Do you know that we can't openly compliment you anymore, right?
Why?
Because a lot of women freak out.
I think there's a difference. Somebody
What's
can
the
say it
difference?
being genuine, and somebody can say it being gross.
What is gross? Oh my God, you're so hot. Is that gross?
No.
What's gross?
Oh, the things I do to you.
Well, nobody says that in the wild.
I mean,
They don't say that do they say it in the real estate world? Those people need to get their real estate licenses. That's where all the deals are
they
going.
like to drink a little.
90% of compliments are not gross.
Okay.
Probably even higher.
I think it's a good thing. I think both girls and guys should say compliments to
I
each
agree.
other.
Do you know that we really there's a big percentage of, not a bunch of listeners on this show, because they've already probably left a long time ago because they don't like me, who don't want us to hold the door?
Really?
Yeah. You think I'm weak?
I like that.
Right. The old-fashioned what I like, the let me pay for dinner, that goes into that.
Okay.
Hold the door. Once you're comfortable, pick me up. Do those traditional chivalrous things.
I like this chivalrous stuff.
Right. That will go far in the dating world.
Okay.
If you do that and not are always like, so professional woman, here's my business card. Like, you know,
That's all I know.
You got to turn that off at 6 o'clock. Just shut it down.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
You're just a single chick out on the
town.
Out on the town. Yeah.
See, I'm always backed up by girlfriends, right? I've never gone out alone without my backup.
What do you mean, like a chaperone?
No, like my crew of people that I go out with, right?
Like you roll out with a posse?
I do.
Are they all single?
No.
So you roll out with some married people?
Yeah, and some married couples and everything. Like I go out with like a ton of people. I don't ever go out by myself. I've never gone to the bar by myself.
Have you been to a wedding in the last 2 years?
No.
So you haven't had to sit at the singles table yet?
No.
You haven't been in a circumstance where you're at the
I've
singles
never
table?
been single my whole life. I've never even slept in a bed alone up until the last couple years. Ever in my entire life.
Well, you weren't together every night, were you?
I slept in the bed with my sister. We shared a room my entire life growing up. I switched from my sister to my husband. I've never had my own bedroom until this recently.
Wow. So you're not that excited about sharing a bed anytime soon.
I mean, I would like to. We're not going to share the same blankets, but I wouldn't mind sharing the same bed. I'm not
Two
playing tug
twins
of war
pushed
all
together.
night long.
Is that what you think goes on out there?
Oh, I know that's what goes on. I would hate it. I want my own blanket. I remember I'm used to being alone. Even when I was married to my husband, he worked nights, I worked days. He never slept in the bed with me.
Okay, well then you had it alone.
I had it, but I didn't live in my own bedroom.
Oh, it wasn't your bedroom.
Right. It was the furniture he wanted, the color of the walls.
So you
wanted.
never had like an apartment in your 20s that was yours?
No.
Wow. And you
Nothing.
have kids now.
I do. I've had kids my whole life.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Have you taken a vacation by yourself?
Never. Oh, I take that back. I went to Vegas in March, February for work.
And?
But I was with work people. I was with all
But
my
you were in your own
Remax
room.
family. I was.
Oh, yeah.
It was very awkward. I hated it. I would only.
Oh, you hated it?
I hated it. I don't like being alone.
Well,
I'm
you
not
got to
used to
pick your
it.
poison here. You're not used to it, but you were in Mandalay Bay or somewhere just
I was at the MGM. I would
the
sleep in
MGM?
there, and as soon as I would wake up, I'd be out
because you weren't comfortable being by
by
yourself.
myself. Yeah,
That makes sense. I get that.
I'm always with somebody.
I think you need to take a weekend and not somewhere far. Go to like Charleston.
Oh,
by yourself. A little
I would be
B&B
bored
by the
out
beach?
of my mouth, out of my mind.
not necessarily. You've never like I've been to Europe by myself. It's awesome. Most people who travel by themselves,
can't.
they love it because you're not tied out. So the only way you're going to really understand you and the next 50 years ahead for you is really sampling the cuisine, for lack of a better term. You need to put yourself in these environments and don't be afraid to be bored, because you're going to be in environments that aren't necessarily boring. You might have to just go to Paris for the weekend and roam around and get the stimuli and see other people.
I think I crave a relationship because I was alone in my marriage for so many years.
Right.
So I'm looking for that companion, because I've traveled alone with my kids a million times.
Right. But you can't that's not something you can kind of plug and play. You're going to have to sample, and you're going to have to experience, and you're going to have to absorb lots of things. So you're going to have to basically, get out a brochure and been like, boom. Don't go to some, nature retreat where you're mostly going to feel alone. You need to be in the action of stuff. I don't care if you need to go to New York City by yourself. Have you been in New York City?
Never. Never been to New York my entire life.
Okay. You are, you're a sophisticated person dealing with sophisticated people. You never been to New York? Have you been to Washington, D.C.?
I have.
Okay. Have you been to Boston?
Yeah, I have.
So you just skipped over New York?
Well, a 5th grade trip to Washington, D.C. is when I went there.
Have you been west of the Mississippi?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been to Vegas.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You went to Vegas. Have you been to California?
No.
Have you been out of the country?
No. Well, Bahamas.
Well, that's country. You never went to Canada?
Oh, yeah, I've been to Canada.
Oh,
I'm from Michigan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Canada.
That's a little short drive. You've been to the Bahamas?
Yes.
With your husband?
No.
By yourself?
With my family.
Oh. Have you taken a girls' trip yet somewhere? Have you let's go to Nashville and go, woo?
That's what we did. We went to Nashville.
And you didn't make out with a guy in a bar there?
No.
That's what goes on there. That's the whole point of Nashville.
20 degrees, freezing our asses off.
Yeah, that is the thing about Nashville, too. They don't talk about the weather sucks in Nashville most of the time.
But I love it there.
Yeah,
Tennessee is like home away from home. I love Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee's great. Kentucky and Tennessee are two very, very underrated places. So were you there?
Oh, I met a guy on the flight on the way home.
Well, there you go. What was going on in 24E?
We held hands.
What? Did you pretend you were scared?
He was a famous retired football player, and he lives in Parkland.
Dan Marino?
No, this guy's not married.
I don't know if Dan Marino.
No, he was like rubbing lotion on my hands, holding my hand. He sat across the aisle from me.
And he said, let me rub your hand with lotion?
Yes.
That seems aggressive.
I mean, we were talking before that.
And then he goes,
give me your hand. Chafed? No, he goes, give me your hand. And I gave him my hand. He squirted lotion on it, and he rubbed my hand with lotion.
That seems a little
listen, we talked.
Symbolic.
I know his entire life story, and he knows mine.
So he reached across the aisle.
We were talking.
Are you a coach?
Yeah.
He's not that famous. He's not that famous a football player then. You reach across the aisle, and he's like, hold on, I've got a little
no, he was putting
oil of
lotion.
Olay in my...
No, he was putting lotion on his hands. And he goes, oh, I put too much on. He goes, give me your hand. And I gave him my hand.
That's a good move, actually.
And he rubbed it all over my hand very nicely.
Over lotion and then take her hand? That's not a bad move.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Yeah.
He put hand sanitizer on, and then he put he's like, oh, crap, I put too much on. He's like, give me your hand. I'll put lotion on your hands.
Oh, yeah.
He sat
across the aisle. I have too much cologne on. Let me rub my neck on yours.
All over.
Okay, so then the flight lands.
I gave him my number.
Uh-huh.
I took his number.
Okay.
And then that was it. He reached out to me once about something stupid. He was just
a lotion fetishist?
I don't think so, because we knew a lot of the same mutual people. So I'm like, if you need to find me, I'm sure he'll find me.
But he didn't find you.
He did not, so I guess he's not interested.
Were you manicured?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just coming out of
hands.
Nashville. I mean, they look like shit right now.
They're all right.
They need to be painted.
They need to be lotioned.
I just lotioned them. No, this was off on my girls' trip from Nashville. I was with a whole bunch of girls.
So when you're in the club, in the bar, in the restaurant, are you looking around? Are you twirling your hair? What are you doing?
So with Ariel, we'll go out, and she's like, if you had to repopulate the world with anybody here, who would you choose? So we do a lap around.
Oh, my God. See, that's a little aggressive. So you mentioned the lap around. So once you get on the dating sites, when you're swiping, that's the lap around. It's essentially the same mindset.
Is it? So we do like a lap around.
Lap around 50 times is the same as swiping 50 times. It's exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay.
Had to repopulate the world. That's different. That's who I want to have sex with. That's not necessarily anything. Weird question, but I kind of like that question.
That's what we do.
Okay. So are you, have you looked in the mirror to see if you have a resting bitch face?
No, I don't. I'm nice. I'm open.
Well, you
I'm
can
friendly.
be nice and not be aware of how you look standing in
I'm
line
always
at the
out
bank.
smiling.
You are.
Nice. I'm very talkative. That's why I have a podcast.
Yeah,
I like to
there
talk.
you go. Single mom success. Will you talk to a stranger?
100%.
Then this shouldn't be a problem.
I told you. And I'll notice a guy looking at me, but then I will not. I guess because I want to be like, I want the guy to approach me.
Right. So are you approachable?
Absolutely. A maybe.
Do you ever touch your hair?
All the time.
That's a good thing. We react well to that.
All the time. I just feel like if I notice somebody looking at me, I think I get nervous and I'll turn my back. I turn around. I'm like, oh my God, let's pretend like I didn't just see him.
I'm going to give you a move that I haven't brought out on this podcast in like 2 years, but it is the original move of that I tell girls of the Great Love Debate. This is gold. People should pay me money for this.
Okay, tell me.
When you see a guy, you want a guy to come over to you. Mm-hmm. There's only one way to get every single guy to come over to you that will work 100% of the time. And
Which
you know what that? It's the same way that you would have gotten a guy to come over to you in the third grade if you liked him. What would you have done if you liked a guy in the third grade?
Oh, accidentally bumped into him.
That's not bad. It's kind of like the old bend and snap. That's not bad. That's not bad. You go over and bump into him, but that's not. But I'm talking about you have to then go to him to do that. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be 20 yards away and get him to come over.
What are you going to throw something at him?
Nope. That's violent. We don't encourage doing that anywhere either. You look at him and you stick out your tongue.
I could not do that.
You stick out your tongue. Not Miley Cyrus style sexual, not just a quick. At the very least, he's going to come over and say, why'd you stick your tongue at me? But what that says to him when you stick out your tongue like that playfully, let me see you do that. Yeah, like that. You do that to a guy and it says, I caught you looking at me. What do you got? And they will go over to you 100% of the time.
Oh my God.
There used to be a whole thing, because they talk about this all the time, GLD tongue. It was like a hashtag. Like people would try this all over the world. Like, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. It doesn't send a sexual vibe. It sends a playful vibe. And the guy is looking for playful. So if you catch a guy's eye and you stick your tongue out at him, he will absolutely come over to you. It says to him, what do you got?
I can't.
You can and you can. It works. Well, I mean, whether or not you want to do it, that's your business. It works 100% of the time.
I'm going to ask somebody else in my group to do it because I'm too chicken
Okay,
shit to
but
do
if they
it.
and some people are really bad at sticking out their tongue. There's some freaky tongues out there. Like I've had some. We used to do this at our live show. I'd make somebody stand up and stick out something. I'm like, what is that? It's like lizards out there. It's scary. But if you just give them a quick like tongue stick out. Every guy's going to come over.
I can't wait to hear what people say on social media. I'm literally crying.
Yeah, it's a real thing. I mean, I didn't make this up. I learned this. And it works 100% of the time everywhere in the world.
Oh, my God.
It's not offensive. It's not sexual. It's playful. And you out there in your professional business with your girl group of friends and you're all, he wants to see which one is fun. And the one who sticks out her tongue is fun.
I don't know if I am fun.
Well, I think you're fun. All right. This is your first time on the podcast. Normally, we play something called worst date or first date, but you have never had a worst date.
Or a first
and you've
date.
never had a first date. So give me your dream date, because you must have thought about this.
I don't know. Honestly, probably getting food and watching the sunset.
Would you let him carry the tray?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would you
can
get the
carry it.
condiments and the napkins?
Oh, yeah. I'd bring the blanket.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Watching
I'd
the
help out.
sunset. What about
Yes,
watching the
love
sun
it.
rise?
It's too early in the morning.
Sunrises are hopeful. They're optimistic.
I love sunsets.
Do you?
I do like I like a sunrise by myself when I'm running
Okay.
in the morning.
So you're fortunate. This is where we're recording this now is about a mile from the beach. You have
Which is
access to
awesome.
a beach here.
I know.
So if somebody said, "Hey, you want to go take a walk on the beach and with a blanket?" You in?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Yes.
You hear that, out, guys out there? She's got a tongue. She's willing to use it, possibly.
Maybe.
She's willing to kiss you in the rain.
Oh,
She
yeah.
wants to walk on the beach. She's looking good, and she has reasonable custody situation. That's all you could want.
You would think.
You would think. All right, tell everybody where they can find your podcast, and maybe they can track you down to date you too.
I'm on Single Mom Success. My name is Becky Skeba-Mancini.
That's it.
That's it. I'm with Remax Services. Should I leave my phone number?
No, don't leave your phone number.
Can't
You're going to
do
get a bunch
that.
of creepy calls. But
I'm you can find
she's
me on
Google.
Facebook.
Yeah.
You can find me on Facebook. My name's Becky Skeba-Mancini. Instagram, I think it's Becky Sells Boca.
Will you accept all friend requests?
It's open, so
Yeah, me
whoever
too.
wants to, slide into my DMs.
You know what I mean?
I'm
Don't be
waiting.
weird. Just say hi. I agree
Just
with you.
say hi.
You were awesome. That wasn't
Thank
too bad,
you.
right?
Thank you, Brian.
I don't know if
No,
you
it
learned
was
anything,
great.
but we broke some walls down. As far as us, go to greatlovedebate.com. Our next 2 live Great Love Debate shows are on sale right now. August 31st in the aforementioned Nashville, Tennessee. We are at City Winery, which is a fantastic venue, and our shows in Nashville are always nuts. September 21st, Boston, Massachusetts. Greatlovedebate.com for tickets to those. Shoot us an email, greatlovedebate@gmail.com, if you have questions, thoughts, concerns, or if you want to ask out Becky and you're over 40. Do that. Most importantly, not just this podcast, Single Mom Success as well.
Thank you.
Give us a review. Your reviews mean a lot in the podcasting ecosystem because, as always, at the Great Love Debate, we never stop making love. See you next time.